Hi guys, I'm Ricky, and it's great to be back with another Core
What the hell is going on here?
Well, it's Core Mechanic. It's number 25 on the
Dude,
list.
it's great having you back, but seriously, I was just at the toilet
Well,
getting a drink.
you know, it's just I thought we'd get started, and
You're
well,
gonna start without me. Let's do this properly.
okay.
Hi, my name's Dave Adams.
And I'm Ricky Sherwood.
You're watching The Core Mechanic, and today we are doing number 25 on Mike Salinker's list of 100 games you absolutely, positively must know how to play. Boggle.
Boggle was designed by Alan Turoff and published by Parker Brothers in 1972. It was conceptualized as a poor man's Scrabble, with the name itself meaning to hesitate or shy away from. Unfortunately, it was a bit of a failure on initial release and didn't really achieve worldwide acclaim until 1976 due to a new advertising campaign which included, amongst other things, an entire magazine apparently with articles dedicated only to Boggle.
Boggle was designed to take the best elements of Scrabble and to condense them down into a quick, easy to play game, which is why the game only takes about 3 minutes. It's also why the game gets to use the Scrabble dictionary for all tournament and competitive play. However, the game has had far greater reaching influence than just the world of Scrabble and the tournaments of Boggledites, which is a word I just made up. In fact, the game has been used for teaching algorithms in university. It's also reached well and truly into the pop culture, with references in shows like 30 Rock, Seinfeld, King of the Hill. It features very prominently, as well as many more. So that really brings us to the question of, well, why is this game important? And I think we both have some experience with this ourselves, me as an educator and you working in education with languages as well.
Yeah, international students find this sort of game really useful for learning spelling in the English language and starting to recognize those patterns that we've talked about before.
Yeah, patterning is a really big issue here because in terms of learning and education, especially with young people or ESL learners, you're looking at, generally in English, we teach children to read from left to right. And they start to pick up structure of sentences and that sort of thing. But to internalize those spelling rules, it's good to mix up that patterning. So what happens is in Boggle, as it gets shaken, that pattern is completely dispersed because you can go left to right, up, down, sideways, horizontal, all sorts of things, back to front. Doesn't seem to matter. So long as you can make that connection, the word is good. And so it really forces kids to have to learn those patterns of words, which letters work together.
Yeah, and eventually they'll start bringing them into the more advanced stuff, prefixes, suffixes. Whenever they see an S, they know they can immediately get a larger word through pluralization.
As almost a secondary outcome to doing these strategies and learning how to spell through following the Boggle strategy is the fact that these kids get to use repetition, but not in the same monotonous way over and over again as if you're learning times tables. It's more repetition is that each scenario is different, but word patterns might be the same. So they get to see those word patterns over and over again in multiple situations, which really helps with them with that identification of what's going on, which is a far greater learning tool for their minds and really helps them to take those strategies and build them into their repertoire.
And this is reinforced, of course, by the ticking clock mechanic brought in with the hourglass. The children will also have to learn, well, not just children, players have to learn to control their panicking reaction, basically.
Well, that's right. I mean, the moment you start hitting into those emotional, bringing into the emotional side of things, they start to get that sense of tension. Then they really start to nail down. Okay, once I'm really comfortable with this strategy, I can draw on it straight away, and they'll start using it.
That's right.
And so that might be they can break it down into those subsets of 2x2 or 3x3 and start to see those smaller words first and build up to some bigger words. And it's just about they'll start to build comfort as they get more proficient and that time really puts the pressure on them to draw on those strategies straight away and to really bring something out.
Almost like a kind of muscle memory.
Yeah, absolutely. That's a great example. The other side of that is that building those strategies is also useful in terms of, well, a lot of mathematicians draw upon these strategies for building math skills. And what I mean by that is the strategies themselves. It's not a maths game, but the logic and the thinking behind the game is mathematical. And in terms of that mathematical thinking, it's more the logical processes of problem solving mathematically. So it starts by trying to understand the problem. You've got an S there, for instance. Now, that could be part of a word, or it could be the prefix of a word or a suffix to the word. It could turn a word into a plural, which means it could score you extra points, or which means you've actually got two words there. You've got the initial word and the plural. If you've got a J in the top corner or a K and it's surrounded by consonants, will you even be able to access it as a word? Will that J even be useful? Is it worth looking at? Is that K useful? Well, it might be if there's an N next to it. So it's really trying to come to an understanding of what the problem is that you're working with. Then it starts to look at making a plan and how to carry it out. So that's when you start looking at your word patterns. Then you start to look at, well, what two letters work together? If you've got two S's there, can you make a word pattern through that? That can end a word, it could be glass, it might also come in the middle of a word. And it's often those little things, like we think of double S's ending words regularly, but we don't often see them or think of them when they're in the middle of a word. Also, some of those words which we think, those sounds which work together, such as off, O-U-G-H, so cough, trough, but they could also have other sounds that go with them, because that O-U-G-H could also be ought.
Though.
Those same word structures could also have a different sound to them. So really trying to break down the problems and think it through. And then at the end, of course, comes the looking back. Any good mathematical, I should say, or logical thinking, I will get my lips around these words eventually, will take time to evaluate what went on and look back and critique, okay, well, what happened here? Were there any words that were missed? Were there any words that were just forgotten about or overlooked? And of course, the whole time, you've got that mechanic of competing with people so that you're looking for not just words, but unique words. And so obviously it's the people who can genuinely come to understand those patterns well enough and learn from those patterns well enough that will be able to come up with the more unique words and score the more points. I guess the real question is, well, what is it about this game that makes it such a good game? Or why does it still work even after all this time? I mean, it was created in 1972, but why is it still relevant today?
I think one of the best aspects of it is just how quick it is to set up. It's really easy to just pull out the Boggle board, a couple of pads and pencils, and you're ready to go.
Absolutely. I mean, 3 minutes is as long as the game takes before you're into scoring. I guess also you've got the whole element there of the fact that there is no downtime. Not only is everyone involved as soon as the boggle is shaken, as soon as you shake the thing and it all settles, everyone's thinking about what's going on. You're all simultaneously taking your turn, and then as soon as the clocks out, the scoring matters then as a group, because you score as a group. Yeah. What you've written down matters to me because it impacts my score. So I guess really there's no downtime at all.
Yeah, and just focusing on that, there's also this brilliant thing that you never have any downtime individually as a player. You're always doing something. You're never waiting for your turn.
I would also say that this actually taps into a lot of... There's something in our psychology going on as well that this taps into really well. For some reason, our brains naturally look for order within chaos. And there's lots of theories that go around this. I mean, there's a whole bunch of theories for gambling. I think you mentioned one, which was the gambler's fallacy. Yeah, absolutely. So we look for patterns, and we believe that patterns are happening. For instance, you can flip a coin 5 times, and it will show up heads. And naturally, we think, well, the logical thing is that we're running out of luck.
We've run out of heads.
We've run out of heads, essentially, which makes no sense whatsoever. No. But anyone who was a betting person on that would most likely think that tails was more likely to come up.
Yeah.
Even though it still has 50-50 chance of showing up.
Yeah. Would you also say that Boggle is a word game or a puzzle game, maybe?
Oh. Well, you didn't have to stump me straight away. No, I think still at its core, it's a word game. It has some puzzling aspects to it, but I don't think necessarily. I think when I think of puzzle game, I think of games that are intentionally trying to stump me, and I have to sort out. Or, damn it! Why'd you come up with this question? This is a dumb question. I don't like this question.
Okay.
Puzzle game. Well, you tell me. What do you think?
I definitely think it's more of a puzzle game than a word game, because having a huge vocabulary isn't exactly going to help you all the time, because you don't have the whole alphabet to work with at any given time. You've only got a certain amount of letters, plus you've got that the constant pressure from the ticking clock. So you're not taking your time calling upon every resource you have. It's you trying to find those patterns as quickly as possible.
Yeah, okay.
You just happen to be using words.
I reckon we could debate this around in circles for a very long time. Well, yeah. I reckon we could.
Why can't it be both?
It could be both. Maybe it is both. I actually haven't even thought about that question. What I do know is I think the initial intention was to take a game and to almost take all the good part of Scrabble and to condense it down. I think it did that well.
Very well.
It's fast. It's well paced. But the more you learn, I think the best part about this is the more you play it, the more you learn. And one of the good things is that really there's no downside to this game. I mean, it's not, for me, it's not the most story-based game. I would still put this into an abstract gaming category. However, modern times we tend to focus a lot on those stories and we want big story-based games.
Yeah.
But at the same time, the simplicity of an abstract game is that you can just pick it up and put it down.
That's right.
There's no need to explain why we're doing what we're doing. We're just doing it because it's fun. Also, the strength of any good abstract game is that it really consolidates down to just that one core mechanic that is good and works, and if it's fun, people will keep playing it, and this has been played for quite a while. I think, obviously, it's struck upon a chord, that mechanic that just taps into people and really keeps hitting that pleasure button. Well, thank you for watching The Core Mechanic today. We've had a blast. It's been great having you back.
And it's been great to be back.
Thank you for being back. Thank you so much for coming back. I'm going to hold it together. It's going to be good. It's going to be fine. Look, if you've enjoyed this, we hope that you will like and subscribe.
And please feel free to put down in the comments what you think is the best educational and fun game.
Until next time, I'm Dave.
And I'm Ricky.
You've been watching
The Core Mechanic. In the comments what you think is the best educational and fun game.
If it was a video game, I'd say Carmen Sandiego. Boggle's pretty good too. What about you?
I'd probably go... Ooh, Portal makes you think about physics.
Portal does make you think about physics. And board games though?
Board games? Ooh, I don't know.
Fun and educational?
Arkham Asylum teaches you how to go insane.
That's true. That's true. Ghost Stories teaches you how to lose a lot. A lot.
Seven Wonders.
Seven Wonders. The history one. Actually, Civilization would be mine.
Yeah.
Seriously, Civilization really talks about making choices in terms of cultural significance. I think it's a great game. For quite a while. I think, obviously, it's struck upon a chord, that mechanic that just taps into people and really keeps hitting that pleasure button. That maybe not pleasure button.
No, that's
Is that?
Yeah.
Excellent. Okay.